All right, we're making out for a ride today on the bobber, obviously, but just gonna enjoy a nice ride around Arnold, Annapolis, between downtown Annapolis and the Bay Bridge. Haven't flown my drone for a while, so bringing that in the tank bag. Hopefully the chest mount works with the tank bag on, but the biggest thing for today that's gonna be make or break it is I cut the stator wires to put a connector in there. I test rode it for like 5 miles afterwards, but it's been sitting for like 2 weeks since then. So cross our fingers that it starts and this video goes. So let's see if that works and get going. All right, so we made it to a nice little boat ramp, a little beach, and like always, it's windier than I expected it to be. It's beautiful here, and I really wish I would have brought the mirrorless camera now, but we have the drone that we're not flying here in the shade. Let me get back out to the sun. But, oh, soft sand. So yeah, few things to talk about. Guess we're gonna go with the most obvious one. The bike started, we're out, happy about that. I don't know if you guys have seen my video, I guess like almost a year and a half ago now. Essentially the stator wires down by the rectifier or something, whatever it is, on the bottom of the bike, oil comes down the internals of the wire and just drip out of the connection underneath the bike right in front of the rear wheel. I tried fixing that Christmas 2023, and it lasted for about 10-11 months, and then this past Christmas it was leaking again, so I pulled it apart again, just cleaned it as best as possible. Basically the sealant I put on there trying to plug it, just there was oil and it never really like sealed super well, so pulled all that off, tried bending the connectors around to get a better seal, hopefully. Yeah, I knew that wasn't going to work, and it didn't. So when I rode to North Beach with Bob, it was leaking oil, what I would consider pretty good. It wasn't like on the ground, but definitely a good amount on my fingers when I reached under there. So yeah, I took snips, cut the wires, cut all three, did one at a time, put connectors in there that are waterproof, and they're the ones that have the solder inside of them, so when you heat it up to shrink it up all around the wires, it theoretically solders them all together, which in my head would mean that in the heat shrink is a solid like block of solder wires now, so theoretically no oil can get through. I wish there was a little bit more solder in there because of how thick the stator wires actually are. Is it 8 gauge, I think, if I remember correctly? 6 gauge, 8 gauge. But yeah, so did that, and then just put it back together. This is the furthest I've ridden on it so far, but it starts and everything. So that brings me to the second thing, which is I am hosting the Annapolis DGR, or the Distinguished Gentleman's Ride. So super excited for that. Kind of got thrown into it-ish in a way last year. Had a week prior to try to figure everything out and didn't have controls to adjust everything that needed to be. So now I am the full host of it. Someone else may be able to help out again, but probably not. So I pretty much already have everything figured out. I have the ride mapped out. I'm super stoked on the ride. It's going to be a good, diverse ride through the heart of Annapolis and riding the suburb back roads around it to a nice spot to stop and get some food and drinks and hang out. So I need to talk to that restaurant still to get the okay to go ahead and make it official, but this is super nice. So yeah, super stoked on that. I am just overall excited for this, and that brings me to another thing that should be here this Friday. Is I finally was able to get myself to pull the trigger on getting a 3/4 helmet. Essentially, it's gonna be nice for this ride and kind of fitting for this ride, but it's not gonna be a helmet that I'm gonna wear all the time. It's gonna be my like coffee run helmet, more or less, and during this ride. So I hope they fit well. I really want one, even though it's not going to be the same as my Arai helmet. So the ride will definitely be a majority of the time, but the 3/4 will be just for, I don't want this mic to blow off. 3/4 will be just for little short rides that I'm not actually getting on the highway or anything. So feel like, oh yeah, duh. So it's been difficult for me to get out in the last 2 weeks to get this video because we have one vehicle, not considering the bus and the motorcycle because of what they are, but we essentially have one vehicle, which is my wife's van, and she's coming home from work the other day and she said it was just vibrating, engine light flickering on, and because of modifying my Volkswagen and blowing tons of these, I knew it was probably a coil pack, so changed all the spark plugs. That was overdue. Changed the coil pack of the misfiring cylinder, and luckily it is smoother than when we bought it. We bought it secondhand, but yeah, we have like 50,000 miles on it so far in the last 2.5 years, and yeah, it runs so smooth. So, nice little picture to make everyone happy. Never know what a smile can do to someone's day. Yeah, so thankfully got that taken care of, and that's all done. So also shout out to Josh for bringing me the parts because we couldn't drive the van anywhere. Yeah, and there's so much rain lately, but besides today, it's like 40. It's been 40 the days that it's not been raining. So, but yeah, making it out, good vibes, good times, and maybe, I'll go find someplace else and fly the drone, try to get in a little divot somewhere. But have you guys liked the diversity being in the same town this whole time? I think it's wild that it's just like through neighborhoods, through just like naval area, through farmland, some pretty good back roads, getting stopped by a bus. Yeah, it's beautiful here. Just so much traffic sometimes. So realized that with no ND filter, I was just making my face all shadow, but gonna probably take a couple pictures with my phone and jump back on the bike.